All right, guys, I want to just to kind of change the topic a little bit because I'm just reading this now, just coming across here.
It's a good one.
According to NPR and other sources, Brian Stelter is leaving CNN. They apparently have canceled reliable sources. A lot of people anticipated this could be coming. Brett, I know you're devastated by this. I don't know what you're going to do without your Brian Stelter on CNN.
He had just started coming around, and he had just started. Maybe not. A little too late.
What's your
victim
reaction?
of the Biden recession?
Yes, he's another victim of the Biden recession, Brian.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from inside of a vehicle because we are traveling and did not know that the breaking news would happen and the joy would befall all of us that the greatest potato, whoever potatoed, the palace eunuch, as Tucker Carlson called him, has been fired from CNN. Sayonara, Brian Stelter, breaking literally minutes ago. Again, we are in our car on the way to a dentist appointment right now to keep these pearly white, and we are pearly happy using these smiles to know that Brian Stelter will never, ever, ever be on CNN ever again. He has been canned. According to NPR, he has been kicked off of his own show, fired. They've canceled Reliable Sources, his show, and they fired all of Brian Stelter's staff. Brian Stelter, one of the great purveyors of fake news on CNN, one of the worst violators of journalistic ethic, one of the guys who just grovels to the power regime and says, how may we best serve you? This is why Tucker Carlson called him a palace eunuch. This is why Tucker Carlson so roundly and often criticized Brian Stelter. It is certainly going to be sad for our program. In a way, we will shed a tear because a couple things here. One, watching the Brian Stelter clips gives us tons of content. I am headed to the dentist right now. My wife said she would give me my own root canal herself if I missed my dental appointment. But we watch the Brian Stelter clips, and they're about as enjoyable as a trip to the dentist. It is kind of like a root canal, watching reliable sources, reliable root canals. Every single weekend, you got lied to because he called them reliable sources, but his sources were not reliable. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some of our favorite Brian Stelter clips lined up here for this breaking news. And once again, Brian Stelter and his entire staff have been fired from the show Reliable Sources. Brian Stelter, his entire staff, gone from Reliable Sources. Breaking news here. Some of our favorite clips and moments from Brian Stelter's life and times at CNN. I think we have a few clips lined up for you. Let's play clip number one.
Look, who knows? I think that's an example of a broader question for Twitter, which is, if you get invited to something where there are no rules, where there is total freedom for everybody, do you actually want to go to that party, or are you going to decide to stay home? And that's a question for Twitter users. Some Twitter users might love the idea there's going to be absolutely no moderation and no rules at all. Others might not want to be anywhere near that. Am I crazy, Matt?
No, you're right. And what happens to the advertising? I mean, if there's no moderation or little moderation, do the advertisers stay away? What does that do to the business prospects for Twitter itself?
I think that's very much.
Brian Stelter there proving that he's never been invited to a single party in his entire life. Brian Stelter proving that imagine you were at a party and you just didn't know what was going on. Would you want to be at that party? Well, what if you didn't know what was going to happen next? And anyone could do anything they wanted. This is why Brian Stelter has never been invited to anyone's party ever. Brian Stelter, of course, screaming and crying and moaning and bitching about Elon Musk buying Twitter. And we think that is going to happen. Another favorite moment from Brian Stelter's incredibly stupid show. Take it away.
CNN's ratings would be in the toilet without Donald Trump.
You know that's not true. You're playing for laughs.
That is Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel, one of the most famous journalists in American history, saying to Brian Stelter, you would have no ratings without Donald Trump. And Brian Stelter being like, I'm upset. That hurts my feelings. Fake news doesn't pay. Fake news doesn't pay. And just to prove Ted Koppel's point, you have Brian Stelter crying about the time that he was called a Mr. Potato Head by Don Jr. Don Jr. called him a sad little potato, and then Brian Stelter went on his show to cry about it. Famous clip, take it away.
On Friday, I was about to go get dinner for my kids when Donald Trump Jr. attacked me in his speech at CPAC. Something about me looking like a gender-neutral potato head.
If Hasbro really wanted a gender-neutral Mr. Potato Head so badly, they should just slap a picture of CNN's Brian Stelter on the cover of their next potato. What? They don't call him Mr. Potato Head for nothing.
And then the tweets started rolling in on my computer, people telling me about Donnie Jr. insulting me. And I thought of some really cutting responses, some really clever ways to reply, some way to go viral. But then I stopped. I didn't post anything. It was just another distraction. He wanted me to respond. This was just more BS fuel for the culture war. And it does not matter. The best thing we can do for each other in this world of tweet storms is to refuse to be confused by that noise, is to refuse to be distracted. There is too much real news going on. There's no time for potato heads.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we are doing a celebration dance over the fried and now fired potato that is Brian Stelter. Brian Stelter has been fired by CNN. His staff have been let go. They said that they were going to do this in their major restructuring. And by the way, if you ever watched Brian Stelter's show, you know it was about as enjoyable as a root canal. And I myself am in a car headed to the dentist right now. So there we go. We thought we'd go live though because we wanted to celebrate with all of the patriots who will be excited to know one less fake news inside of the corporate media ecosystem. This was bound to happen. We did a report. Hate to say that we were right, but we did a report many weeks ago, probably 3 months ago, stating that this indeed is an eventuality that will happen at CNN. Sources at CNN told us that this was going to happen to Brian Stelter and that there was going to be a massive firing inside of CNN of the people who have been the greatest purveyors of fake news. And so Brian Stelter was going to get the axe. And I guess maybe we don't hate to say that we told you so, because we literally told you so. Brian Stelter, according to our sources, was going to be canned along with Chris Cuomo. We've been right on both accounts. That's more real news that has ever been reported on Brian Stelter's show. And ladies and gentlemen, we have one final clip for you to show you exactly what kind of a show we will be losing today as Brian Stelter is fired. Clip 4, take it away.
After the class, students told me the lessons hit close to home. Do any of you feel like you try to correct friends or family now based on what you've learned? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. I mean, like when COVID first started, like my family thought that, wow, this is a hoax, but then I'm like, this is real. Like people are really dying, getting sick from it. I really just wanted to believe that it was fake, because I didn't want that to really happen to me, but it was real and it just changed everyone's lives, honestly.
Maybe that gets to the motivations of you want to believe something, but you got to face reality head on.
Other fake articles, maybe you want to believe it, but it's not true and you have to research if it's really true or not.
More traffic into this fake site.
They also said their peers would benefit from this class. Do you all feel like every student needs to be learning news literacy?
Yeah.
Brian Stelter inside of a classroom trying to teach fake news to the little children. We say sayonara to Mr. Potato Head. We say sayonara to the palace eunuch. Brian Stelter is now officially gone. We weep a few salty tears for this because that will mean less content for our show, but that's okay. We're sure he'll crawl up somewhere. And Brian Stelter, we're hiring at the Benny Show. If you want to come, we have plenty of internships available. You're welcome to apply. Brian Stelter, ladies and gentlemen, gone from CNN, gone from your TVs, perhaps forever. Fake news doesn't pay. See ya, ladies and gentlemen. I am now at the dentist.